Hi, my name is Chanel Compton, Executive Director of the Banneker-Douglass Museum, your state museum of African American history and culture in Maryland. Today we're located at the Banneker-Douglass Museum, located right on Franklin Street in historic Annapolis, right up the road from the Maryland State House. Join us today where we'll be learning about our powerful exhibitions, our programs, and our profound history. Thank you. So here we are at the Black Vote Mural Project exhibition, an exhibition that features 16 murals completed by local artists throughout the region. The exhibit is an interpretation, an artistic exploration of African Americans in the vote. We were inspired to do this exhibition due in part to ASALH, the Association for the Study of African American Life and History's annual theme, African Americans in the Vote. This mural is entitled Three Graces, and it is by Maryland artist Brandon Donahue. Brandon Donahue is the David C. Driscoll Center Artist in Residence, and he works in the medium of paint and sculpture. This mural depicts civil rights activists Fannie Lou Hamer, Victoria Jackson Gray, and Annie Devine. These incredible women were organizers and founders of the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party. In this image, you can see to your left Fannie Lou Hamer, a Mississippi sharecropper turned civil rights leader and the voice of the movement, and she also went on to run for Congress. In the middle is Victoria Jackson Gray, who was a school teacher turned civil rights leader and was the first Black woman to run for Senate in Mississippi. And to your right, Annie Devine, who was an insurance executive and later civil rights leader. In this image, the three women are reading a telegram at the U.S. Capitol building in 1965. The telegram was from the Speaker of the House, granting them permission to be seated on the House floor during the debate about the newly elected representatives from Mississippi. The mission of these women was to unseat the all-white congressman from Mississippi, who they claimed were elected illegally because of discriminatory voting practices. They charged that because Blacks were kept from registering, the election was fundamentally unfair. Their effort was called the Mississippi Challenge and led to calls for congressional investigations into voting in Mississippi. Thus, the three women's activism fed into the groundswell that produced the Voting Rights Act of 1965. The title of the mural references a painting by Renaissance artist Raphael entitled Three Graces, featuring three young women who represent charm and beauty. Though this mural is a realistic rendering of the original photo in 1965, Brandon includes red, white, and blue to symbolize patriotism. A major focal point in the mural is the use of red on the telegraph. Red symbolizes intensity, blood, life, urgency, which illuminates the grave importance of this message. These women fought to throw open the doors for Black women in politics and activism. In this mural, Brandon Donahue beautifully and poetically honors them for their courage and sacrifice. This mural is entitled For Those Who Came Before and is by Maryland artist Latoya Peoples. The mural features a contemporary young woman of African descent positioned in front of historic images of protesters who fought for the right to vote. As you can see, the central figure wears a t-shirt that pays homage to the Black Lives Matter movement and voter rights for Black citizens today. The background depicts images from the civil rights marches in the 1960s and the signing of the Voting Rights Act. In defiance of segregationist oppression, the civil rights marches were organized by nonviolent activists to demonstrate African American citizens' constitutional right to vote. The flags in the background is a reinterpretation, a remix, if you will, of the iconic painting entitled Flag by American pop artist Jasper Johns. But in this interpretation of the flag painting, Latoya Peoples in this mural allows the red of the flag to drip, conveying blood, sacrifice, and violence. Latoya Peoples is a Baltimore-based multidisciplinary artist and educator. She works in the realm of mixed media, painting, and public art. Her work focuses on the figure, color, and pattern as a way of exploring identity, history, and transformative themes. I especially believe that this painting is compelling because it brings the history of voting rights for African Americans from the civil rights marches to today, and how the right to vote is still being protested by a new generation of activists and change agents. So today we're in the temporary gallery at the Banneker-Douglass Museum, and we're going to be looking at two murals that are included in the Black Vote Mural Project. The mural behind me is by the artist group Future History Now. They're a local arts nonprofit in Annapolis, and they specialize in public art, working with young people and other local artists throughout the community. In this public art piece, you see, or should I say mural piece, you see an image of Mary Church Terrell, you see images from the 1965 Voting Rights Act protest, and you even see an image of, which I think is a really interesting addition to this piece, an image of Edmonia Lewis, who was a famed African-American woman sculptor, a leading sculptor during the early 1900s. So there's a lot of different images. I would even say layers of collaged images and colors going on to tell a really profound story. So you see an image of the American flag, you see the Maryland flag, you see the central piece, which I think is really important to focus on. Your vote is your voice, which is something that we need to continue to remind ourselves in our community. So this is a really special mural at the Banneker-Douglass Museum. It's entitled Evolution of Efficiency. It is completed by students from Bowie State University at their fine arts department. So they're fine arts students, so to speak. And in this mural, it's a multimedia art piece. So they use different types of materials to create this piece. What I love about the mural, and when you come on down to the Banneker-Douglass Museum, you really see the detail in, I would even say, wallpaper that they created. So they use digitalization to design and create this really fascinating wallpaper that depicts Black protests in the 1960s. And on top, they hand-painted portraits of African-American heroes and sheroes, of many of whom, of course, we know today, such as Shirley Chisholm, Frederick Douglass, Thomas Peterson, who was the first African-American man to be recorded to have voted in the United States, as well as Mary McLeod Bethune. I hope you've enjoyed this brief tour of the Black Vote Mural Project. You can learn more about this project and see more artwork by other artists by visiting us online at bdmuseum.maryland.gov. I encourage you to also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube to see more of what we have to offer. If you've enjoyed this exhibit and want to support the work we are doing, please consider donating at the Banneker-Douglass Museum Foundation by clicking the donate button on our website. Thank you for joining us today and for supporting the Banneker-Douglass Museum, your state's official museum of African American history and culture.